Excellent. Okay, here we are. Season one, episode one of Beats, Rhymes, y Comunidad.
Let's
Wow.
go. Let's get it.
Welcome, ladies
Happening
and gentlemen, unicorns, aliens, however you're identifying on today's date. Um,
all
I'm
are welcome.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited and pumped up. This is the first episode of many of this show that we call Beats, Rhymes y Comunidad. For those non-Spanish speaking folks out there in the world, Comunidad is the name for community, which is one of the major themes for this show. The show seeks to explore the intersection of community management and the culture, whether it be hip hop culture, music in general, film, art, television, you name it. What we're here to accomplish is really putting a spotlight both on community management and community managers out there in the wild who are doing their thing, right? Because we're all part of a community. If not building ones ourselves, we may just not be giving ourselves the right amount of credit for that great work. So we're here to put a spotlight on that while also bringing attention to some of the dope things that we're both doing out here in the world. My name is Jeff. Some of the folks in Instagram land might know me as Jersey City Jeff, but I've been working as a digital community manager for the past 14 years. I recently started my first business and I'm launching my consultancy for community management services. And that is part of what brought this podcast to be. I'm going to take a beat here and introduce my beautiful co-host, Miss Merle. Welcome, young lady. How we feeling today?
I'm feeling good, Jeff. I'm
Yeah,
happy to be here. I'm so excited for this. We've been
we
talking
finally
about this
did
for
it.
so long, and we're doing it. We're doing this damn thing. We're so happy everybody is tuning in and watching us. Hopefully, it's
Yes.
like thousands, right? Like
Yeah.
millions of people. I am Miss Merle, aka Merlinda Lucas. I am from Brooklyn. And I have been in the community space not as long as Jeff has, but I'm a recovering project manager, event manager. I am now a founder of my own business called Community Sauce, and we help brands and companies scale by creating a community and experiences. So I'm really happy to be here
Yes.
and to
Yes. I'm
kick it
happy
with
to
Jersey
have
City
you.
Jeff.
Yes, yes. Although you may not have been in the game as long as I have, you're definitely way ahead of me in a lot of different regards. I think that's kind of what brought us together was the our relationship is built on this mutual exchange of value where I learn things from you, you learn things from me, and round we go, right?
Yep, that's right.
That's what brought us here
That's
today.
right.
Maybe that's a really good place for us to start. By the way, you mentioned your consultancy, and it's probably appropriate for me to mention mine as well. So the name of my consulting practice is Fiesta Alegre Community Consulting.
Let's go. That's right.
Again, for non-Spanish speaking folks out there, Fiesta Alegre is a mashup of two words, two Spanish words. One, fiesta, which most of us know is party,
Party time.
Spanish,
Yeah,
and alegre is the Spanish word for happy. So this is a happy party. We're
that's
all
it.
about
Bring
positive
it.
vibes,
Bring it.
no
Happy face emojis.
sensationalism. Yeah, man.
Mm.
There's a lot of podcasts out there, and the intention is
Yeah, I know.
for there to be more than just my mother tuning into this, right? So
Yeah.
so to that end, we really are attempting to create a space to not only shine a spotlight on your not so average community manager, right? Like folks that are building community in their own right, but may not necessarily have the words community manager in their
Right.
job title, but also just to, bring some shine to some of our
Yeah.
unsung heroes out there. I think one of the main objectives with my consultancy is I want my consultancy to be a place to support and amplify brands and companies that are owned and operated by members of the BIPOC community and those of our
Right.
allies. The fact that people who look like me and you have been privileged enough to build the successful careers that we've been able to build is I consider it to be a privilege. And I
Yeah.
want to take some of the
100%.
great gems that we've learned over the course of our careers and bring those back to our people. I think that there's a lot of BIPOC brands and businesses out there that can really benefit from tapping into the power of community to help grow their
Oh,
businesses, and that's
100%.
that's definitely a mission of mine. So I think me and you are on the same page in that
Yeah.
regard. But maybe this is a good time to really just kind of put a spotlight on you, right? You're more than just the co-host to the
Yes.
greatness that's going to be surfaced in this beautiful show. So let's take a moment to talk a little bit about you. Let me ask you this: what
Mhm.
is your earliest memory of community, of feeling a sense of belonging, that you were a part of something that is greater than yourself?
Hmm. I mean, I think it was definitely church. I went to Catholic school. I was like a Daughters of Mary in my community church. And I definitely, and we always went to church on Sundays, and a church was like a family ritual and just like getting ready for church, being at church, trying to like behave in church with your cousins that were just trying to get you to laugh.
Yeah.
And then, after church. And I feel like church and spirituality in general is such a connector of bringing people together and just bringing people together for a common mission. I feel like spirituality is it's the backbone of community.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So being that this show is going to explore the intersection of community and culture, we have our friendship
Mhm.
outside of this arena, and we're both hip hop kids. So what's your earliest memory of hip hop? Like on some,
Ooh.
what was it? What was the flick? Was it Brown Sugar? Was it like
Uh,
when did you first
oh my
fall in
God,
love
when did
with
I
hip
first
hop?
fall in love with hip hop? I
Yeah.
mean, I think it definitely had to be um the Fat Boys, I want to tell you.
Mm,
I was such a big Fat Boys fan. I'm so aging myself. It's okay. I'm here for it. And I remember they used to remember back in the day, they used to have these commercials that were like the 800 numbers, like, oh, call 888 and you can talk to the Fat Boys.
yep, yep.
So I did that. And I talked to the Fat Boys recording for about almost 45 minutes. And
Wow.
then you know how expensive that phone bill was. When my mom saw that bill, she was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, mommy, but I talked to the Fat
Impossible.
Boys. They were so fun
You're
to
in
talk to."
trouble.
And I mean, listening to the Fat Boys, I was a big Fat Boy. And then I think they had a movie too.
They sure did.
And yeah, I mean, I was just a big Fat Boys fan. But really, I think what made me fall in love the first time was hearing Roxanne Shante. Like, then, seeing myself and just, women representing in hip hop. So that was the first time.
So as you went about your personal journey and started growing outside of the church and the world began to expand for you as an individual,
Mhm.
what would you say is a moment where you started to experience the antithesis of that feeling of belonging, where you felt maybe a little bit of exclusion in certain spaces that you might have stepped into,
Mm.
whether they be professional or personal or whatever?
Hmm. I kind of feel like I mean, I think you always, when you don't look like the majority, you always feel like the other.
Mm,
And I mean, I feel, I've always talked with an accent, that's
yeah.
just something, who I am. And I remember one time I was at one of my first work events and someone was talking to me and just asked me, "Oh, where did you learn English?" And I just looked at them like, in Brooklyn, like, where did you learn English?" And they were just taken aback when I asked it back because they were like, "Oh, because I obviously am not a native English speaker, and I am. My first language was Spanglish. So yes, I am a native English speaker and native Spanish speaker.
There you go.
Actually, no, I'm a native Spanglish speaker. That's it.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the first time that, I realized the otherness of, who I am, but then also understanding that our otherness is, we have like a vibrant community of
Right.
others and, standing up for them and just embracing, who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think part of that too, right, is that, you got the Brooklyn shirt on, you're repping BK and stuff like that. But you were born in Miami, weren't you?
You know what, Jeff? You don't
I
have to
had
go there.
I'm gonna do it. This is what I do.
No,
This is the
don't.
repartee, right?
No, no,
Did I
no,
even
no.
say that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
no.
born in Miami though, but let's talk
Yeah.
about that. So born in
Mhm.
Miami, right? Well,
No,
was
no.
that where the church thing like
No, no. The church thing was in Brooklyn. Thank you
was
so
in
much.
Brooklyn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So like no feelings of community in Miami whatsoever? That's
No,
it?
no. No,
No?
no. It's just
It's just you
Brooklyn.
woke up and
Yes.
you were in Brooklyn. All right.
That's it. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
All
Yeah,
right.
no.
All right.
No.
All right.
That's
We'll
that's
stick with that story for now.
that's down and
For
dirty.
now. We're
That's,
gonna have a
that's
lot
not
more.
nice. That's
Yeah,
okay.
well,
This
you know.
might not work out. I don't know.
Yeah, right. That's it. I'm done with you, Jeff.
Let's talk about the
Go.
evolution of Jersey City Jeff and how he
Yes.
happened.
You were a big part of that journey. You still are. Jeez. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I owe a lot of that inspiration to you. I remember the day, like it was just over a year ago. It
Hmm.
was last February, right? We were out at a community event for
Yes,
community managers. Salute
that's right.
to,
Shout out Live by Community.
led by community. Yes,
Shout.
that's right. Salute to them. Salute
Hmm.
Francisco. And I was showing you a phone call that I had had earlier that day on Sway in the
Hmm.
Morning, and you listened to it, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool," yada yada yada. And then at the end of the call, you heard Heather B going Jersey City Jeff, and you were like, "That's
That's
what
it.
you should call yourself." And here we are. Here we are today.
Here we are.
That was a wonderful spark of inspiration that I thank you for to this day.
And
And
I mean, you have evolved into such a Jersey City Jeff. Like
yeah.
you, your own brands now. I'm so
Yeah, yeah,
proud of
I that was kind of the beginning of the journey in like leveling up my game, my personal branding game, right? I mean, if you take a look at my Instagram presence even before that, the two profiles look quite similar.
you. Yeah, but
But
different.
but different in the sense that, you know, making that decision, right? To take a
Yeah,
step out on faith, double down on your work ethic, double down on your faith, and bet on yourself, really,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Opens a lot of doors, you know. And
Hmm.
that was very much the case in my example, you know. As a matter of
And
fact,
just like moving past like all those limiting beliefs, like that voice in your head, like that
mhm,
eel behind your head that's like, what do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? Like,
that
why are you
imposter
doing that?
syndrome that comes
That
into
imposter
play, right?
syndrome, it's like pushing past that and it's just like stepping into who you are.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
And you did that.
Yeah, I like to think of it as you know, one of my favorite films is The Last Dragon. Bruce
Mm-hmm.
Leroy,
The
you know,
glow.
and yeah,
Yes.
and he gets to that point where he's like, you know, he goes back to his sensei, like, what did you have me do? You had me go to this quote unquote master, some dumb boy, you know, and he's not a master, he's a computer.
Yeah.
The sensei's like, there is one place that you have not yet looked, and it is there, only there, where you shall find the master. And it's really about looking within yourself, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
tapping into that power, tapping into that God power, I think, really.
Shout out to the
So
Last Dragon.
shout out to the Last Dragon. Shout out to you for helping me
Mhm.
get there. And it just so happens today is, and I'm wearing this shirt, man.
Hey
Today's
now.
1 year anniversary that I met Destroy. We were at Hidden
Shout
Type
out
in New
Destroy.
York City. So shout out Destroy, man. He's been hugely inspirational in my journey as well. And I owe a lot of well, a lot of my success to him so far, at least
Yeah.
in the past year, right? Because
Yeah.
he's been definitely behind the scenes, just, you know, rooting people on, and not just myself, but anybody that he's worked with, or even, you know, his own listener
Shout
community.
out the
Because
arsonist.
yeah,
Yeah.
shout out the Arsonists too. Man. We
Hmm.
got a lot of good things coming up this season with those guys. I
Yeah.
actually just had a great conversation yesterday with Zenobia Simmons, who was the
Arsonist.
Arsonist publicist for a while, and she managed
Wow.
them directly. So that was a really great conversation. Lots of great things to look forward to this season. In addition to those great folks, you
I
know,
mean, can we talk to the arsonists and like have them come back? Can we do like Rocksteady in the Park again? Like, is that something that they can
gosh,
like bring back? Because like that was life.
yeah, yeah,
That was when like hip hop was hip hop and it was everything.
yeah,
Like
man.
bring that back. Bring
Well, the one thing that we can look forward to is this book, right? They've got the it was last year was the 25th anniversary of As the World Burns.
Mm.
And Swell from the Arsonists, along with all the help of all the respective arsonists, there were so many at different points in their career. They're putting together this book that's just sort of like a reflection, like looking back, let's take a look back on the past 25 years and lots of old photos and stories and things like that to look forward to. So very, very excited to see that. I think in addition to having some of those great folks join us this season is the fact that we will also be putting an emphasis on community management and having wonderful folks like Marjorie Anderson, who
Oh,
I'm actually
Marjorie.
interviewing tomorrow.
I'm so
Um,
jealous. I love
yeah,
Marjorie.
yeah. Carrie Melissa Jones going to be joining us this season as well.
Dope. Carrie
Yeah,
Melissa
yeah,
Jones.
yeah.
Shout out CMJ community. I love being part of you.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
100%, 100%. I'd also like to salute the CCC, the Community Consultants
Oh,
Collective.
yes.
Yeah,
Todd Nielsen.
Todd
Let's go. I
Nelson.
love
Yeah,
him.
he's
Yes.
another
He's
one that
still
I
such
gotta
a good
get.
person.
Yep. This first segment, just for anyone who might be tuning in, is really meant to just be talk news of the day. We're gonna give you highlights that we see out from the community management world, from the culture side of things, whether it be music, art, film, television related.
Yep. The
Um,
diaspora.
yeah, the diaspora, man, really, really just seeking to explore this intersection of community and culture. Um, but just for housekeeping purposes, right? The way, in terms of the format for this show, we're going to head into a music segment after this. And really, the intention is for this to be broadcast as a LinkedIn Live.
Yep.
But your boy's just getting started out over here, right? Fiesta Alegre Communities Consulting is brand spanking new, and so is Beats, Rhymes, y Comunidad. So I learned that you actually need 150 followers on your
Crap.
LinkedIn page before
LinkedIn,
you
come
can do a
on, man.
LinkedIn
Step
Live.
your game up, man. LinkedIn.
So yeah,
Come
LinkedIn,
on.
man. You want to, they're gonna make me earn it. I'll earn it.
Right?
Hey, let's do what we gotta do. But I would encourage anyone who's tuning in, check us
Go
out on
follow.
LinkedIn. I'll make sure that I include the link to our LinkedIn page, either in the notes or the comments or wherever you might be able to find it, wherever this ends up landing. But definitely check us out there so we can. The intention really too is for our middle segment to be a co-working session
Mhm.
accompanied by a DJ mix. So we're here to
Go.
provide some
By
entertainment,
the beats and rhymes.
yeah, the beats and rhymes part of things, man. We want to make sure that you're getting your week off to a good start, getting some work in while you listen to us go on and on. And dive into some really cool topics with our wonderful guests. We have Esteban Serrano joining us for this first episode. Salute
So
to Rap
excited for
Dads.
him.
I'm really excited
Shout out Rap
to
Dads.
share this conversation that we had because Esteban's another instrumental mentor and friend in my journey. So really excited for this first episode.
Shout
And
out to
for this
Sway's
first
Universe
season.
too.
Yes, salute to Sway, salute to the whole team at Sway in the Morning. You guys are doing wonderful things with the show these days. They're like bi-coastal now. They're in LA, they're in New York, they're doing the show from
They're big time.
both ends of the country. So yeah, really exciting things going on for there. And then they're also a very instrumental part in this journey as well. So I gotta send a lot of thanks to that team. But yeah, so talk,
This was
DJ mix,
that's it.
co-working session, interview, and then we'll get you out of here before you know it, and you can have a great week. So yeah,
And then come back next week.
and then come back next week, please.
Okay. And bring it.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the first one, come back for some more. We got plenty more where that came from. And yeah, I'm excited, man. Let's get this started, right?
Let's go.
Let's go.
saying hip hop started out in Queensbridge, saying lines like that, man, you know them can't live. So tell them again, we come to tell them again. Tell them again, we come to tell them again. Tell them again, we come to tell them again. Tell them again, we come to tell them. Manhattan keeps on making it, Brooklyn keeps on taking it, Bronx keeps creating it, and Queens keeps on faking it. All your sucker MC want your piece come out today. Here's an example of KRS-One. Here's an example of KRS-One. They was the best of me, the people they cannot. They must be on the different who. We just got the rock card. We don't complain, nor do we play the game of fading. We down production coming to you different flavors. Anything for the flavor that you savor. Mr. Magic Mike wish to come and try to save ya, but instead of help you out, he want the same thing I gave ya. I finally figured it out. Magic Mike is used for sucking. Rocks and suckers only get a steady puffing. As he shed him all, only bluffing. Like Dougie Fresh said, I tell you now, you ain't nothing. Come back to better learn, so kiss and boogie down production. Say ease and I'm on them, say ease and I'm on. Say KRS-One, you know them can't understand. We're moving over there and then we're moving over here. This name of this routine is called Light Union Square. Square, square, square. What's the matter with the MC Marley Marl? Don't you know that I'm out of touch? What's the matter with the DJ MC Shan on the wheels and still ballin' sucks? You better change what comes out your speaker. You better off talking about the whack boom and sneaker. Cause once created hip hop queens will only get dropped and still telling lies to me. Everybody's talking about the juice crew funny, but you're still telling lies to me. Can't run from it. Can't run from it.
Check this out. How y'all feel out there? Oh yeah. All right. Check this out. One, 2, 3 is the place to be, as it is plain to see. He is DJ Run, and I am DMC. Funky Fresh for 1983. DJ Jam Master J, inside the place with all the bass. He leaves without a trace, and he came here tonight to get on your case. And we are the crush grooving, the body moving, the record making, and the record breaking. And it goes a little something like this. And it goes a little something like this. And it goes a little something like this.
I was proven effective by clinical tests because some couldn't come to believe I was the best, so they tested me. And now they in the clinic, they almost arrested me because I did it. But I didn't mean to do it, but you had to mess with me, and then you blew it. Now you got to chew it and swallow it all. I guess that's the way that you bounce the ball, or something like that. My mother always told me, your mother always told me, baby homie, don't get mad because you don't get cheese, and I get extra cheese like pizza. You can't keep your girl because you can't please her. But let's get back to the fact that's being proven. So let me prove it. Come on, let's move it. Come on. Hey, yo, come on. Hey, yo, come on. Hey, yo, come on. Hey, yo, come on. I spent time with the rhyme like a person, rehearsing like a verse in a chapter of a play, but I rapped her. Not make money though, you might find it funny, but hey, I do it cause I like it. Plus it is constructive, enriching through the mind cause it's mentally productive. And I am one who seeks special education cause I can't learn from the system of my nation. Or should I say my residents run by their presidents? Cause my mother and brother and father are from the motherland of another land called Jamaica. Some of them say God, some of them say Jah is the maker. But I say why say, and who is to say? Cause you make yourself what you are today. And only to yourself do you have to prove it. So come on, let's move it. Yeah, yo, come on. 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 Straight From the heart, sending shots to the brain, to the hand and the pen, and then on to fame and fortune. Suckers, I be scorching and torching. On and on to victory, me, I be marching. Each and every day, reaching out to pay my respects and checks to everybody that helped me on the way to where I've gotten. Thanks a lot, and everybody out there buying records by the carton. Thanks to the banks and thanks to the label. Thank you, everybody, with my record on your turntable. Thanks to the sellers and the distributors. Everybody thank your moms, cause she delivered us. Thanks to your pops, he gave the drops of life. Thanks to the Lord, the sword, the double knife that I use to fight evil. Like I fight suckers. Damn, I like jam, so I wanna thank Smuckers. Thanks to my DJ and thanks to my producer. Thanks to the girls, cause you let me seduce ya. Thanks to the posse around the way. And thanks to the fans that paved the way. Just coming to the jams, throw your hands in the air and groove it. Come on, let's move it.
Yeah, yo, come on. 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 Yeah, yo, come on.
You see that black man over there, bring him here. You see the one with the blood, put him in the front, cause it's time to prepare some kind of strategy to share. It's only been about 10 million months that we were lost in the source, but of course with the help of the boss we prevail, and now we're on this positive scale. But now it's time to take it one step further, preferably without any obvious murders. If you're doing it distinctive, I don't give a shit. If you're doing a man of our shade, you definitely played yourself and us, and then the heritage crust will be crushed the bust, cause of your lust that you must just bust. A man of your own kind, you must be blind. Archie Bunker and Joey's gonna stuff you from behind one day. Cause we easy prey to get, it's not a threat to combat. Recollect the terms met many years ago that were inferior, and inferior people shouldn't know that they're really superior. And yo, it's time to listen, tick tock, coming from Chub Rock to check the clock and organize.
Every time you look at yourself, be you black, brown, red, or yellow, a so-called Negro, you represent a person who poses such a serious problem for America because you're not one. No one can do it better.
If the battle of the races was a basketball game, who would reign? For the blacks we have Strictly you and Magic Horse Jordan is the Don. Isaiah, Dominique, Barkley, Hakeem, Lajuan. For the whites, Bird, Geeky, McHale, and Paxson shouldn't go any further. You know it's going to get waxing. But if the black players have an ego and won't let go to rock, no matter how nice they are, they're gonna flop. Look, chop in a sold-out capacity crowd. The upsets will be so loud. Yes, teamwork. Yes, y'all teamwork. If a jerk wants to go for self, he gets hurt. And now Dinkins is the man, so Magic formed the plan. Yo, Strickland running the point. Jordan is the god and organized.
So we're all black people, so-called Negroes, second-class citizens, ex-slaves. You are nothing but an ex-slave. You don't like to be told that. But what else are you? You are ex-slave. You didn't come here on the Mayflower.
I shall not have no other one but this one. That is the scripture. Now here's the full picture. Frame it, aim it, name it, proclaim it. To be a Chub Rock original. Ain't it funny that 4 years ago I wasn't making an inkling of money? Had to put 4 chicken wings on layaway and had to come back the next day for the fried rice. The price used to let me chill with a quarter, but I order just order a lettuce sandwich with a large water. Drink it down until I can make up a Chub Rock sound. I will end all this and I take the risk. And if I fail, I won't do a fishtail in the abyss. That's a diss. I'm striving, I drive and miss. Daisy and Patrick Swayze don't amaze me or faze me. Me look up to these stupid clowns, you're crazy. My mama raised me, or Mama Mabley. Dorothy Dangerous crossed the Nile Bridge. The media got involved into her shit. Asked the girl and boggled the poet. Took her name like a crook. And how long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Here's the hook. Open your eyes and organize.
On the basis of what we have in common. And what we have foremost in common is that enemy. The white man. He's an enemy to all of us. I know some of you all think that some of them aren't enemies.
I'm smoking. Wild like Tone Roastin', roasting, baking them seeds. The I'm not joking, so back up. Punk, slack up, watch a weak posse before they get smacked up. 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. Yo, P. What's up, ED? Pass the Uzis to blow up. Any whack MC that show up. There goes one, blast them now. E, hold up. Don't because it might be too late. The punk might escape and buck wild, and in fact bite my style. And I'll make it the bullshit charge plus trial. It's my thing to swing, your first mistake to bring a drunk MC that can't hang. Don't forget I'm crazy swift. My name is Eric Sermon.
Yeah, and I'm Paris Smith.
I could act fool and start blasting. Ha 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 ha. Now who's laughing? I'ma let you slide, but you owe me. Next time you see me,
holla like you know
I'm
me.
mad.
My life story I tell straight from the heart. A suckers try to crash my shit straight from start. A young black kid, destined for success. No old gold, no cocaine. A Buddha says straight up hard work. No sleeping, no shorts. Brainstorming with the skills that Pop Duke taught to keep swinging. Yeah, not to quit. Now I ride the Benz, you ride the dick with your punk friends. Straight up pussy for punk city, that's why my attitude fucked up. And real shitty from the backstabbers. Yeah, my so-called friends who swim on my pool when it's time flex the Benz around town. Windows down as the sound pound. Cool J tape for case solo spellbound with fly girlies tipping, brothers gripping and sipping. Old gold Red Bull, hands on my dick, and I'm just lamping with my EK shades. Truck jewels, obviously the man's paid, but of course not. Brother can't get his props, like for instance, when I cruise up the block in my 560, lamping on my Metro phone. Chrome kit beaming all off the dome, and like a sucker. Yeah, you look the other way, that's when I know you're on my dick, kid. But it's okay, it's normal. Relax, your whole head's busted. Caught in the rap skit, they couldn't be trusted. Cause my sound's pound from here to Okinawa. Peace and I'm out.
Stay tuned to this last episode. When I ride the house and the mic explode. This is not the Buckwild style that I'll be using. In fact, black and quarters. It's a fallout when sucker MCs and crabs call out my name. Oh, what a shame I got.
I'm not a new jack, my rhymes are not whacking. In fact, I'm like Clint Eastwood, instead of bullets, rhymes are packing my flow gun. So son, you better run, cause when it comes to hostile and prisons, we take none. We move wax like kilos. And when my jam hits the streets, the sounds explode. Watch the right hook, duck the death blow, Jack. I wonder where the E and the P's at.
Can they do it again?
You bet your ass black.
See you in 91.
Until then, get the boat sack.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this episode of Beats, Rhymes y Comunidad, a podcast brought to you by Fiesta Alegre Community Consulting. Guys, I'm here today with a very talented young man by the name of Esteban Serrano. Esteban Serrano is an executive producer, a filmmaker, a podcaster, an author. I mean, this young man is responsible for the resurrection of Yo MTV Raps, and I mean, I could stop right there, right? But I won't. So, you know, in addition to that, he's had a heavy hand in bringing hip hop to the Fuse TV network and bringing a lot of your favorite MCs out here sharing their stories. His latest adventure is he's well into season 2 of the Rap Dad show. And yeah, man, dude, here we are.
Thank you, bro.
Here we are.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me. First and foremost, thank you so much for being you. Before an episode of Rap Dads even dropped,
Wow.
you hit me up, and you were nice enough to give me some of your precious time, and we jumped on a call, and you've been a big part of Rap Dads. Again, before we launched anything. So I appreciate your brain. I appreciate your ability to add value and just be a part of the community. It's one thing for I feel like communities are a really hot topic right now, especially in when it comes to like YouTube and podcasting, and people are really looking at it through the lens of monetization and not through the lens of adding value.
Correct.
You've lived community before. Like Rap Dads doesn't have a community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Per se.
Yes.
Right. But you have been part of the Rap Dad community before Rap Dads existed. So not only is this something that you do for a living, but it's something that you live for a living also. So I appreciate you for that.
100%. And thank you so much for those kind words. I appreciate it more than you know. Maybe that's the perfect place for us to start, right? So one of the ways in which we connected beyond me purchasing the book, The 10 Dad Commandments, which if you haven't checked this book out yet, you need to, okay? The 10 Dad Commandments, Fatherhood Through the Lens of Hip Hop is available on Mahal Publishing. I mean, you can find it on Amazon if you want, but save yourself a few dollars and buy it directly through Mahal Publishing, please.
Facts.
Please and thank you.
Facts.
So, obviously reached out to big you up for your great work, right? And let you know how much that I got the book and that I can't wait to read it. And you let me know how it is as soon as you finish.
Yes.
And then you noticed me jump on a podcast about community management, and you were like, yo, I've been curious about this thing called community management. And I was like, well, I'm your guy.
Yes.
Let's talk.
And that's how God works.
That's how God works, right? So tell me a little bit about what sparked your curiosity for community management and how you saw it fitting into the Rap Dad show.
Yeah, I wanted the Rap Dads show, I wanted the Rap Dads brand to be a community, meaning this isn't just something that I do and I put out there for the world. Like, case in point, when we drop episodes, we premiere it on YouTube, and then we are in the comments having dialogue.
Correct.
Like, it was always designed to be a conversation. It was always designed to be a open source, if you will, for people to contribute to, for people to feel like they are a part of. I didn't want to just be a broadcast. All my career, I've just been broadcasting to, viewers.
Right.
But the best part and my favorite part of hip hop is the dialogue. I always say the hip hop audience is the most vocal. We will give you feedback, whether it was, asked for or not. We're going to tell you how we feel. And I love that energy. I've always loved that energy. And I wanted Rap Dads to be ours.
Right.
So that was why I was like, it's important that this is a community, because I want us to share information. I want us to share, perspectives. And I've learned so much about parenting from just having conversations, via the Rap Dads vehicle. And that's where we're going to learn, bro. And that's why I knew it was important for this to be a community. It was always in my mind that it was going to be. I just didn't know how to set it up in that way.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And good on you for that, right? Because to your previous point, there's a difference between an audience and a community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where so many quote unquote community builders fall into the trap, because they don't understand the gem in creating one-to-one relationships with your community members.
Bars.
Right?
Yes.
And that's the big difference.
Yeah,
you're not a one-to-many. This is not an audience. We're building community in a digital platform. Cool, man. So let's bring it back to some of your roots. When did you first fall in love with hip hop?
Oh man, I fell in love with hip hop. I was a baby, like a baby when I fell in love with it. I remember like, so my father is a huge hip hop head, and you know, I was blessed to be the son of 20-year-old parents, and they had no intention on really censoring the world around me. So I got the raw uncut, and my dad was a Public Enemy fan. My dad was a NWA fan. So the music that I was listening, he was really like anti-establishment music, and I just loved the energy of it. I loved the way it felt when it came through the speakers in his Bronco when we would drive around. So that was the moment when I heard like that music. I was like, what is this? And being a father, I've looked like you know, really tried to find the moments when my sons fell in love with music. And I'm like, yo, when does it stop being stuff that mom and dad play and it becomes their own? And so I remember that moment. From that moment on, and I needed hip hop like for my own. And this was I was maybe 5-6 years old. Wow. And I remember my grandparents or my mom bought me a yellow Big Bird record player, like Sesame Street Big Bird record player, right? And it only played hip hop though. Like it came with records. I never played those records. No. Like Will Smith, Fresh Prince grew up in my neighborhood. His record came out, the first one, I think I'm the rapper, he's the DJ. I think that came out, that was constantly being spun on my turntables. McDonald's, believe it or not, put out this terrible rap album in the 80s. Like some anti-violence rap. And I would just use that to just like practice scratching. Mind you, I've never DJ'd in my life. Yes. But I would see the imagery on MTV, on you know, on music videos, and I would be like, okay, that's a DJ. I have a turntable. I'm going to DJ. Any vehicle that I could find to become an instrument for hip hop became a vehicle for hip hop for me. Like I never had a Walkman early on. But I had a Teddy Ruxpin, which was the teddy bear that had a tape cassette in his back, and his mouth would animatronically move.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because I had the Big Bird with the cassette player in his ass, right? Yes. And stick a cassette in there, read you a little bedtime story. You know what I tried to do to that Big Bird? I tried to feed him raisins one time. And I broke the mechanical function. That's it. Mouth open. You can still hear me talk, but you can't see me talk.
I'm not moving my.
I ain't moving my beak no more for you, Jeff.
But yo, Teddy Ruxpin was my homie, and he was a gangster rapper because I stole my dad's NWA tape out of the Bronco and I put it in Teddy Ruxpin, and Teddy Ruxpin would be F the police. And
I love that.
Yeah, anything I could get my hands on became an instrument for hip hop, and I had to find a way to make it play hip hop.
Yo, you heard it here first. Before there was Ted, all right, it was the hip hop Teddy Ruxpin.
Facts.
All right, Mark Wahlberg, check yourself, bro, because we've been out here in the streets. Oh my gosh, I love that. So yeah, it sounds like definitely you got a heavy influence of music from your father.
Yeah, man.
What about your mom? How did she influence you musically?
Oh my God, my mom was the soft side. So my pop was all salsa, merengue, and hip hop.
Got it.
My mom was all R&B. It was all jazz. It was all soul music. Like that was our that was her side of the equation. And I'm an R&B fanatic. Like I feel bad for this new generation. If it wasn't for artists like Snow Allegra and Lucky Day and Daniel Caesar and her that actually are keeping that real R&B vibe alive, I'm like, how are these kids going to fall in love? Like I only fell in love because I was listening to these records, and then I saw this girl, and I'm like, this is how I'm supposed to feel because I know, with this music. My mom gave me like that. My dad gave me that street boom bap, that hip hop, that salsa, that upbeat. But my mom cooled me off, and she still plays that role in my life even to this day. Like her voice, the way she speaks to me, like she never raised her voice. She's always been that cool, calm, steady, presence.
I love that. I get a lot of that from my mother too. That old school Army Delphonics.
Yeah.
The moments. My aunt and uncle, my godparents, their wedding song is The Moments. Look at me, I'm in love.
Come on, bro.
That's just
goodness,
that wholesomeness
yes.
of the way men
yes.
feel about women, should feel about women, should be treating their women.
Yeah.
I love that. That's excellent.
I love that.
What are your first memories of community growing up? What are your earliest memories of feeling like you belonged to something? And how has that evolved as you got older?
Yeah, great question. I think it for me, the first thing that comes to mind is spirituality and sports.
There you go.
So I grew up in Philly. I grew up in as a yogi in a ashram in Philly. So that community, super tight knit. It felt like a secret society, like in a positive way, not in the Masonic scary way.
Right.
But it just felt like we were like these peaceful, beautiful people who got to see God in each other. That was my first time meeting people of other backgrounds and ethnicities that weren't like a teacher or like a police officer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Meeting people from all these different, walks of life. We all kind of came together because we were all seeking, God and seeking our knowledge on our own relationships with God. And so it was like a beautiful atmosphere and environment. I remember my mom and dad got married. My mom had like a traditional sari that she wore, and everyone from the ashram went to the church that was like literally shared a parking lot with the ashram, and they went there and they got married there. And it was just like a beautiful community of people. There were painters and there were authors and there were all of these different people from random professions and different places in life. But that was like my community and my family. Like there was that connective tissue of us seeking that kind of held us together, and we would hold each other. We would hold each other down. We would spend holidays and things together. I know if something happened within to one of the families or someone in the community, we would all kind of rally around them and support. Yeah. So that was my first real idea of what community looked like. And then as I got older, sports for sure. Especially in my neighborhood. My father was the only father in my neighborhood. So when it came time, I fell in love with baseball and I wanted to play baseball. And the parks around my neighborhood were real segregated. So I wanted to play baseball. There wasn't a black park in my neighborhood where I could play. And the white parks, they kind of like dismissed me because for a lot of their communities, they've been playing baseball, since T-ball. And here I am, I think I'm 12 years old. At this point, I should be like, fastball, like pitch it, like hardball. Like I shouldn't be playing this is my first time playing baseball. So they're like, where are we even going to put this kid? Like this kid, they really didn't make room for me at all. Yeah. But what that did was it forced my father to start our own team. And so I grabbed a bunch of the kids from my neighborhood who also never played baseball, and my father found a park like a few neighborhoods over in King Sesson in West Philly. And that was, my dad would load up my Subaru Legacy wagon with like 11 kids from my neighborhood, like super dangerous. It was the 80s or the early 90s, and so no one batted an eyelash if you wore a seatbelt. Like it wasn't really that deep yet. But we would have like all the seats back down in the back, and literally 11 kids would be riding to the baseball field. And that was another thing. Like it's like, okay, we don't have equipment. So my dad was like, where am I going to get 11 gloves, bats, helmets, all this? Flea market. So he never asked the parents for any money because they were all broke. Like we were,
right.
So he was, got creative, went to the flea market, found some, he hit up and started talking to his community, and it was like, oh yeah, well, this community center shut down. We have some baseball cleats here that might fit. Like, we'll send it to you. So the community kind of rallied around, and then we came out and we had everything we needed by game 1. And, slowly but surely we learned how to play, baseball together. But that was a real moment of community that I remember, very deep in my life. And
how hip hop is that, right? For your father to do it in the way that he did it, the response just it seeps hip hop. Like that's the essence of it. This is exactly why we find community so much in hip hop.
Yes.
Right? Because it's just like, hey, if my son is over here experiencing a moment where he feels left out, then we're just gonna do it on our own.
We're gonna create it ourselves.
We're gonna make our own table.
Yep.
Right? So I love that. Salute to him for that.
Thanks.
Going a little deeper into that, right? Like having that moment where you felt like you did not belong, right? Or that you were being excluded from something, reminds me of a point that Sway brought up when you were on Sway in the Morning, right? Because at the top of the interview, they talk about the fact that you were instructed not to engage with talent, right? And not speak with Sway. And Sway was like, yo, dude, come on, man.
Right.
Hey, what's up?
Shout out to Sway for continuing to go after me, even though I wasn't trying to do it at the time. And now, 20 years later, we have a beautiful relationship.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. I love that, man. But, when you mentioned the fact that interns were instructed not to engage with talent, Sway mentioned something about them feeling a certain kind of way, maybe wary is the right word for it, or scared, but wary of the potential for there to be a collective forming, right? With black and brown people sharing of information,
Right.
How intensely have you experienced that wariness once you're in the door of the entertainment industry? Is it prevalent? What's the gatekeeper level at these days, and how has that like progressed throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to misinterpret it or let it go as not by design. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I got to TRL and I became a producer, it was easy for them to be like, yo, we're going to give Esteban all of the hip hop stuff and let him do all the hip hop stuff. Right. And for me, it would feel like that makes sense. Like, hip hop is my lane. Like, I know it very well. So of course you would give it to me. But then I would start getting black and brown talent that weren't in hip hop. And it was like, Samuel L. Jackson, for example, may or may not have been Sam. I don't remember. Oh, Samuel L. Jackson's coming, so, we'll give it to Esteban. And it's like, he don't rap.
Right.
Why are you giving me that? Not that I would,
it's Sam Jackson. I ain't going to say no, but.
But, like, then I'm like, okay, so I'm getting kind of typecast and pigeonholed into this lane of, dealing with. And then sometimes they want to, parade you.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like, oh, well, let's stick the black or brown person out when this big black or brown talent comes so that they feel like there's representation here and like they feel safe and that they're home. But like, I know that this call was made minutes before they walked in the door, or after they walked in the door and they weren't feeling the person who was really assigned to do this job, and now they got to kind of cover their ass, so to speak. Right. So if you don't notice it, if you're not like, keen or aware, it'll be, it'll almost appear subtle or not, not by design. But yeah, man, to Sway's point, like they didn't want us to kind of commingle, because I feel like the majority of that was they didn't want us to know how dope we were all together. Like when you looked at it separately, who was the driving forces and the real talent behind these certain teams and departments, it was like, it was us.
Mm-hmm.
But there also wasn't many of us.
Right.
So it was like, you could, from the outside looking in, think that, oh, these are just parts of the team, until you know, like, yo, Shaheem Reed is keeping, Rob Markman is keeping the site popping. Like, Sway is the one that everyone wants to talk to and call it. Like, that's the real journalistic credibility, over there. And, Esteban is the one who is really writing these segments that, that's really resonating with our talent. Like, when you start to see us in our silos, but you see us shine, then it becomes different. So they kind of needed to keep us apart so that we could continue to produce. Because if we were to look at each other like, what if we chucked them the deuce and we formed something?
Hello.
But obviously that never happened.
Yeah.
But it's happening now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm very curious and interested about the relationship between the Black and Latino community through the lens of hip hop. With last year being the 50th anniversary, and me noticing content from some of the OGs in the game just come out to remind everyone, hey, KRS, here's Busta saying, guys, just in case you guys forgot, this shit started 50 years ago with blacks and Puerto Ricans coming together in the Bronx.
Come on.
And I love that message made its way around for the 50th.
Yes.
But as I started to reflect upon that, in my mind, I'm like, well, if we were that close 50 years ago, in my humble opinion, we are not that close in 2024.
Yeah.
And that is a huge, huge problem to me. But in my mind, I'm also like, well, riddle me this, Batman. Like, how can the Latino community ever expect to reconnect and reunite with our black brothers and sisters if we ourselves are segregated and we discriminate against each other? I'm Puerto Rican, this one's Dominican, the other one's Cuban. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
We're all Latinos.
We're all Latinos.
What are your thoughts on this as a steward of the culture and as an Afro-Latino?
Right. I mean, I feel like it's by design.
Right.
And I love that you went from corporate world to MTV. I mean, from MTV in the corporate world to hip hop, because they're both created and designed by the colonizers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they want us again to not know how strong we are together. They know how powerful we would be if we were to join forces. They don't want us to.
Right.
So they try to, plant these seeds in our head that you're better than them. And you shouldn't be grouped together with those people because, you're not them, and they're a fairer skin than you, or they haven't struggled as much as, like, what does that even mean? When you talk about the Bronx in the early 70s, like, it was poverty. Like, what was me doing better than you look like? Like, your lights are on and my lights are on because they plugged into my neighbor. Like, what is the difference? Like, we both are in that same situation. I feel like it's by design. Like, we were all present at the birth of hip hop. You look at the graffiti landscape. You look at the breaking landscape. You look at the DJing, the sonics. All of that stuff. We were working on that stuff together. So I feel like it's just the enemy at work when we are dividing and, arguing and bickering amongst each other about something that, let's be real, we love to take ownership of it, but when you pull up the documents, we don't own shit.
Yeah.
All the labels own our IP. Yep. They own our music. They own our, all of our creativity, all our royalties, all of that stuff. Shout out to Nas for putting together healthcare for some of the OGs. Why are we doing that? We're so busy arguing about who started hip hop and who didn't, that some of our legends and icons are dying from things that could be taken care of if we shut up and just focused on what was important.
Taking care of us.
Taking care of each other. And taking care of each other for legacies and ever. Think of how hard they had to work to destroy the geniuses that built the Mayans, that built Egypt, that built civilizations that were talking about flying and designing things that would fly back when there was no car, there was virtually no wheels.
Yep.
How genius they had to be to destroy that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still at work right now.
Yeah, because they try to erase that from the history pages.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's delve a little bit into the film world, because you and Sway produced a film about the relationship between psychedelics and the BIPOC community called "We Are the Medicine."
Yes, it's still in production right now.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Constantly.
So, talk to us a little bit about this film, and how you think spirituality can bring healing to the BIPOC community.
Yeah, man. I feel like, you know, from everything that I've gathered, you know, in my due diligence before we started to attack this project, we are the community that needs it the most. We are the community who have experienced, you know, a lot of trauma, a lot of which was by design. And I feel like there's, you know, the beauty of God's design. He, you know, left the medicine here for us on every continent since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. It's been here, and you know, thankfully these shamans and practitioners have kept this medicine alive, and the rituals and how to, you know, partake in this medicine. They've kept it alive forever as well. And so what we've noticed is, you know, it became, maybe 10 years ago, it became real sexy to do ayahuasca.
Yeah.
It became like
Chelsea Handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was, at first, the way it was framed, at least from my consumption of the content, it was framed like this thing that was like this extracurricular activity. It wasn't medicine.
Right.
It wasn't like you need therapy.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Psychedelic assisted therapy is what it's called. Psychedelic assisted therapy, meaning that there are professionals who've built models and built studies and built protocols and all of these things around it to assist you through this journey while taking the medicine.
Correct.
For them, it was like, bro, we got to get on a plane, go to the Amazon, and go do ayahuasca. And it was like, that's not how the medicine was intended to be.
Right, because you're not treating it like medicine, right? It's
You're
like,
not.
shoot yourself in the foot. Let's trade self-medication for a psychedelic, but we're going to look at it through the lens of I'm trading one drug for another. Right. Right, because I want to go have an experience, or I want to have a high, or, you know, get on.
Yeah, they want to go see wild stuff, and it's
right.
Like
I want to go trip out.
Right.
Yeah.
The people that we talk to in this film and the subjects that are in it, when they go do this medicine, they're not seeing wild trippy shit.
Right.
They're unpacking the traumas that they've experienced. And not only traumas that they've experienced, but, you know, your DNA holds trauma 7 generations prior to you being
that part.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
it's a little bit, and you know, I learned that again during this film. And I remember vividly when I was growing up having dreams about being terrified of huge ships and big waves, and ships, like waves knocking these ships all around. And like, it felt so real in my dreams. I would sleep and I would be terrified.
Wow.
And I didn't understand where this came from, because I lived in Philly. I wasn't like on a coastal place. Like, I never really been on a boat. Like, it was no reason for me to watch. I didn't watch Titanic and fall asleep. Like, Titanic wasn't even out when I was having this dream. And then I realized that it's clearly some trauma that, you know, one of my ancestors experienced on the voyage over here. That I have, is in my DNA, that comes up every once in a while. So This has been a beautiful experience in documentary. I've never taken psychedelics in my life. I don't intend to.
Right.
You know, it's not for me. It's not about me wanting to experience it. It's about the medicine. And my father is a medical scientist. Mm-hmm. So, and right now he's doing a lot of work in the cannabis space. Wow. So when I asked, when this project was presented to us, I went to him. And I was like, yo, you know, what do you think about psychedelics? He's like, I'm not really familiar with that space. He started doing research. And he hit me up. He was like, yo, this stuff is amazing. Yeah. Like, I can't believe I never heard of like this. And the reason why a lot of people in the medical space hasn't heard of it was because the government, you know, wanted to punish the protesters of the Vietnam War. And at that time they were they were all about love, peace. They were the hippies. Right. And so it's like, okay, so, you know, psychedelic assisted therapy was one of the steps in the original 12-step, you know, to get off of, to battle addiction. The government started to put a terrible connotation on it. They started to smear, do all this propaganda on psychedelics will make you crazy. Don't do that. You'll lose your mind. Mind you, you know, it's documented that the government has tried to use LSD to make super soldiers. Correct. Like, so clearly, you know, they knew the power of this medicine and you know what it potentially could do, even though they could corrupt it. But they started to, you know, make it, and they did the same thing with marijuana, which is my father. Reefer madness and exactly. Yeah. And even the name of it, obviously, it was cannabis. But naming it marijuana made it sound Spanish and made it sound like it was an illegal substance smuggled from from below the border. Correct. So it's like, oh, marijuana is coming, and it's like, bro, this is cannabis, and doctors used to prescribe this regularly. Yeah. And you know, it was a part of your, like, you would go to the doctor for some ailment, and they would prescribe you cannabis. Yep. You know what I mean? And all of that history is just washed because they didn't want, they wanted to monetize the medicine. They wanted to control the medicine. They wanted to control who could be healed and who needed to suffer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So all of this stuff is kind of coming up in this film. And yeah, I'm super excited, you know, I'm super excited about it.
Put yourself in the mindset of 24 Hours to Live, right? The Mace track, right?
One of my favorites.
Yeah, and I just want to give you the stage to, you have 24 hours to live, knowing that your inspiration for the 10 Dad Commandments came from the pandemic with your own mortality being top of mind. Yes. Speak to your children and your beautifully talented wife. You got 24 hours to live. What's the last thing you're going to say to them?
If I only have 24 hours left, I say thank you. Because you are the reason that my life has any meaning. And I can go happy, ecstatic at what I'm leaving behind, being you all. Because you are the best work that I've ever done. You know, I have a beautiful, amazing, illustrious career of things that I am very proud of, none of which I am more proud than I am of my sons and my GOAT wife, whose book and who's about to do a talk at Michelle Obama's library for her book. I'm so excited we got that news this week. Woo! But like, yeah, man. Thank you for an amazing life. You know, take the best parts of me and improve on the worst parts of me and live your life. I'm going to be here to haunt you for the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. I'm that type of dad. So that's what I say.
That's love. That's love, man.
No, I love that. Thank you
got that. Yeah, man.
That was beautiful.
All right, let's shift gears. Rapid fire mode.
Let's go.
Favorite Biggie song?
Probably The Warning.
The Warning.
The Warning is the Biggie song that I definitely play the most. I've been playing Sky's the Limit a lot. You know, shout out to DJ Clark Kent. Rest in power. Peace. Yeah. But The Warning I play the most.
Favorite film?
That changes from time to time. But if I had to pick one film forever and ever and ever, it's going to be Coming to America.
So many podcasts out there today. What's one of your favorites these days?
One of my favorite podcasts out right now is Future Ancestors, which is my wife's podcast, and her co-host Jason.
Yes.
And not because it's my wife and them, but because I love, even we talk about community, the Filipino community is huge. They're doing the work of being the soon to be, elders and OGs, but not yet. They're at that middle child point where they're young enough to lock in with the new, and then they're old enough to have respect and show love to the elders. But I love to see how they honor their community. Yep. And I feel like that's another major misconception with people being proud of their ethnicities and their backgrounds, not being able to appreciate or show love or be interested in other people's cultures.
Right.
And I feel like anime has really blown the doors off of that. Like, my sons love Japanese culture, but ain't never been to Japan, but we will go eventually.
Oh yeah.
But just seeing the honor that, they have for not only, their culture, but the contributors to it, and how they celebrate one another, and how they're so proud. It reminds me of my Puerto Rican roots, and my dad being like, yo, he's Puerto Rican, right? This person is Puerto Rican. It reminds me of that energy. My dad's always said the Filipinos are the Puerto Ricans of Asia. But Future Ancestors is such a great listen, because it also is that immigrant story.
In one word, describe to me, what does community mean to you?
Love. Community is love, because you have to have love for someone outside of yourself in order to enjoy community, to contribute and participate in community. And low-key, you kind of have to love yourself at the same time in order for you to want to share, your wisdom and the things that you may be able to contribute to the community.
Cool, man. Well, listen, I gotta thank you again for taking the time, bro.
Time out. Now, I know you probably thought that the episode was over, but it's not. And for those of you who've been tuning in so far, I have a special treat to offer you in the form of bonus material. So get your DVD players ready. This is the bonus disc, and I'd like to welcome you all to the first segment of Time Out with Esteban Serrano. All right, y'all. Beats, rhymes, y comunidad. I got to welcome you to this interruption of your interview.
This is crazy. This is so meta.
Oh, yes. So I'm introducing a new segment, and you are my guinea pig, called Time Out. As I'm sure you're aware, these things go sometimes. There's always a little bit of overflow or follow-up, or just questions that may not have come to mind during our initial conversation. And this is one of those instances. So I'm using this as an opportunity to introduce a very meta kind of segment called Time Out. So welcome. It's been a few months, actually, since your interview. How things been going, man? First of all, happy anniversary to Rap Dads.
Hey,
how did that first anniversary celebration go at Algonquin, man?
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful night. Great people in the room. I wish you were there.
Me too.
But it was like a private event. I only wanted the people who were really supported the brand, supported the first season, people who really kind of were the ones that were helping to do the work, or at least I felt like symbolically part of the rollout for season 1. It was great, man. Sway actually allowed me to do a little live version of the Rap Dash show for some of the people who were publicists and press people who were supporting the show but never saw it actually happen and go down. So we got to do a little bit of that. It was amazing. And now I'm just excited to take my learnings from year one and apply it to a whole nother year of Rap Dads. And I didn't know this, but not a lot of podcasts, shows, web series, YouTube channels make it a year.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
No, it's super crazy, but it's almost like once I read the statistic on that, it kind of wasn't too surprising.
Right.
But yeah, I think I forget the exact numbers on this, but it definitely over the 90 percentile range of podcasts don't make it past their first 100 episodes.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited that, we got a year in, and I feel like we're just getting started, even though some great goals and milestones were checked off the list year one.
Yeah, 100%, man. And speaking about learnings and takeaways, I think I'm such a fan of the show that I was watching before Rap Dads even launched on Sway's universe.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I know that there were probably learnings even going into that, right? Like,
oh yeah.
One of the biggest things that I noticed, because you interviewed cats like what's homeboy's name from Creed, the guy that called him like Baby Creed that they got into the fight.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Yeah. Like watching episodes like that from that of Rap Dads.
Yeah.
You can see the difference.
Good grace.
In the production from then to the launch on Sway's universe, because you didn't have the Sprinter back then. You can see the elevation of the production value and the consistency. So
yeah, man.
How would you compare learnings from pre-Sway's universe launch to this first year, coming out of this first year? What were your biggest takeaways?
One of the things you just said was consistency. Back then it was very sparse. I would say it's like, to keep it to put it in video gaming terms, that was the alpha version of it. It was just like, let's see how many artists I can get to talk to me, to be vulnerable about, what they're going through, kind of testing it to see if this thing actually, has legs. Artists, especially in hip hop, are very guarded, unfortunately, because of the landscape of journalism, if we want to call it that, in our space, where it's always about going viral. It's always about a gotcha moment. It's always about embarrassing or putting, our favorite artists in uncomfortable situations. And it's such a sensitive subject. I didn't know if they would really actually go there with me. So that was that phase. And what I learned was, being consistent, speaking to artists in varying places in their careers. And more importantly, varying experiences. Because when I spoke to Tone Trump, I wanted to talk to him specifically about him being unapologetically Muslim and raising, his family in that way, in a very Islamophobic America that we are, kind of in right now. And so, that was a conversation that we were able to have. And I interviewed Boldy James probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And, we talked about, guns. Like, his son was obsessed with guns, and he was a kid who was obsessed with guns, and his father, was obsessed with guns. And, what does gun control look like in your house? What does gun safety look like in your house? How are you combating this? Or is this something that, you're leaning in and you're teaching him how to use it, or you're trying to keep it away? Like, these are subjects that you're never going to hear or talk about on any other platform. They don't want to give hunting and fishing, and the NRA don't want Black and brown people to be gun owners, so they're definitely not going to invite us on their platforms to have these types of combos. So I learned from there, be consistent, lean into the unique experiences of these fathers, and where I was in my career when I started to alpha and beta test versus where I am now with Sway's Universe allow for me to level up production value.
I love it, man. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
And I'm excited for the second year, man. I feel like even though it's just 1 year into it, I feel like you've already done like 3 seasons worth of material.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
really amazing. You also recently got back from LA, right? Kat did a reading
Yes.
over at the Michelle Obama Library. Tell me all about
Yeah,
this and
man.
how it went.
Yeah, man. So I love it because not to get too deep, but when Kat and I first got married and we had our second son, there was a fork in the road for us. It was like, do I follow my career trajectory,
Mhm.
or does Kat stay home with our sons, kind of foregoing her career trajectory for the
Right.
sake of our sons? And, because at the time we were both, I think she was actually making more money than I was on her path, but I was at MTV already and I had a very clear trajectory where she was still kind of finding her outlet and finding her footing. And she reluctantly, and she'll even admit it, said, I'll take the L and I'll stay home and thank God, because she became the greatest mother of all time, and my sons are living proof of that. But her sacrifice allowed for me to, go full in
Hmm.
on my career. So I always told her, once our sons were at a certain age where they didn't need her 24/7,
Yeah.
then it was her turn, and I would do the same, and I would be supportive and be there for her. So this LA trip, she had two readings in LA, two different book readings, one at the Michelle Obama Library, one at the Hart Library in Long Beach.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she had a bunch of meetings when she went out there with various different people. And I said, I'm only on this trip to hold her purse and take pictures for her.
There you
That's
go.
all I'm here for. Like, it ain't about me. I didn't say, oh, I'm in LA, I want to go here, I want to do this. When I go to LA, I got my list of places and things I want to do. It wasn't about me.
It was
You
like
know,
the event. It was like the event she threw. Yeah, you were
exactly.
on duty that whole night, you know?
Just holding purses
Yeah.
and taking pictures.
That's
That's it.
it. That's it, brother. I love that. That's a great partnership, and not all superheroes wear capes, and Cat is one of
Nope.
them.
That's a
Salute to
fact.
Cat. Salute to Cat. That's amazing. All right, man. My last question to wrap up this first installment of Timeout is, what was your MC name?
What are you talking about?
I happen to know through the grapevine that you spent some time as a producer MC, and I'm
Wow.
interested to know what was
How do
your
you know
MC
that?
name. Not all superheroes wear capes, Esteban.
Come on, bro. This is some Latino narwhal shit going on right now. I don't know. It's funny. Oddly enough, I had different iterations of. I can't believe I'm even talking about this right now. I had different iterations of my rap name. You won't find any content on YouTube,
Okay.
even though I was good. I will say that. I'm not saying it like I
You're
hope no
nice
one
with it.
ever discovers
Okay.
it. I was nice. Like, I had deals on the table. I had real legit, shots and opportunities in hip hop had I wanted to go that route and trajectory. And I'm not saying that to like pat myself on the back, but
Uh-huh.
I'm saying that, because, I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm just shocked that you know that. So, my first iteration of my rap name, this was when I was this actually, being a rapper really taught me a lot about storytelling, a lot
Mhm.
about authenticity. So when I first, I fell in love with hip hop because of my father and my uncle Ease.
Mhm.
Those two, like my uncle Ease is probably one of the most important people in my life when it came to developing my palate for hip hop. He
Yeah.
would take me every week to the record store, and he would have the dude behind the counter lay out all the new music that dropped on Tuesdays. But he would go on Fridays
The Music
when they
Tuesday.
first
Wow.
stopped. Music used to drop on a Tuesday,
On a
but they would
Tuesday. I
get
remember
them,
that.
stock the shelves over the weekend and skew them into your system and all that. They would get them
Yeah.
on Fridays. My
Hmm.
uncle was so plugged in that he would go Fridays and get the new albums that didn't come out till Tuesday. But dude would lay them out on the counter for him,
Uh-huh.
and he would look at them and like, okay, well, here, where's he from, or what's this story? And he wouldn't just listen to East Coast hip hop. If they were Latinos, he would buy it. If they were, you know, if something jumped out at him out the cover, or if they were associated with a crew that he liked, or if he'd read the back and see it was produced by this or was on a certain label, he would give it a shot. So he listened to music from all over the spectrum, where a lot of people in my neighborhood were only listening to East Coast hip hop. So he really taught me like to expand. And then I found Digital Underground, and I found Outkast, and I found, you know, all of these Cypress Hill. I found Kid Frost. I found a lot of dope eclectic, the Alcoholics. Like I found all of these dope artists from all of these different backgrounds and different places and geography. So that was one big takeaway. Another one was he found out that I wanted to rap. Me and his son, my cousin Eve, we wanted to rap. So he took us to get instrumentals, and we're sitting in the basement writing these rhymes, right? An hour goes by and we go upstairs. He's like, all right, spit what you got. And I must have killed like 39 people in my rap verse. In my 16 bars, I had every gun you can imagine, and I killed everybody. And my uncle was like, yo, how many people you killed? And I was like, I never killed nobody. He was like, how many guns you own? I was like, I don't own any guns. And he was like, then why are you rapping about that? That's not who you are. You need to be yourself. There's enough gangsters out here really rapping about that stuff. Like, people are going to know off the rip that you're not authentic, that that's not really who you are. So why don't you rap about being, you know, half black, half Puerto Rican kid from West Philly, like, who loves basketball and hip hop and blah, blah. Like, why don't you rap about that stuff? And I was like, that's the corniest stuff I ever heard. My life to me was corny in comparison to what I was listening to. But I really then became who I was supposed to be. So my first rap name, it's terrible, bro. It was M.M. Quick. Mike Master Quick.
Mike Master Quick, man. Hey, listen, I thought you were going to say MC Yogi for a second. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, no, Fly Yogi would have been.
Right?
Hey, so my second iteration was my spiritual name, which was Sri Ram, which I broke down into an acronym that stands for Stay Humble, Remember, I'm Royalty Amongst Men. So Sri Ram was my rap name then. And then later on, it just became Esteban. And like, I just stuck to the script of who I was, you know, and that was it. But I stopped rapping probably 2002.
Okay.
So I'm floored that you even noticed, because this predates YouTube. YouTube wasn't until what, 07?
07, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Amazing stuff. So we're definitely going to have to dig some of that up for part 2 of your interview, which
good luck.
Will happen at some point. I'll pull some more strings, man. You look at how I shocked you today. So
this is spooky, happens. Dude.
Yeah, amazing, man. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for your time. I appreciate you making the time for the first interview, let alone this little revisitation, inflation that we shall see how this works out.
I like this.
All right. This is the first installment of Time Out. Beats, Rhymes, y Comunidad. We are out. Peace.
Peace.